Hello, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time it is when you're watching this. I'm recording this on the request of John and Leon. They thought it might be helpful if I produced a video that could help explain a little bit or answer some FAQs. So this is my one-take version of what I would have said if I were presenting this. One take, unscripted, so if I pause or say something silly, be gentle with me, be fair. The first slide here, it says personalized professional learning at AISJ 2021. So this is our plan for the school year. Now the first slide here, it says step one. We need to acknowledge that this is not a normal school year. So this is the conversation topic that I brought up with the admin team, actually starting over the summer. And I kept bringing it up and sharing and sharing. And your administrators, your principal and your assistant principal received the information well and have been thinking about it. So it's really a conversation that's been thought of since this summer. Step one in that conversation is we really needed to just acknowledge reality. Okay, let's tell the truth. What is our reality? And our reality has been since the summer that we don't have our usual PD funds. And we all know that, and we're all hoping to get back to normal soon. And we hope to have those reestablished next school year, and then everything will be back to normal. But here's the question. What does back to normal mean? And so it kind of led me down the road of thinking, well, what is PD? What at AISJ do we consider PD? When people say, I'd like PD on this, I'd like PD on that. Let's define PD. That's what great schools do. And honestly, at AISJ, it was my first year here last school year, my experience was that AISJ defined PD as those meetings we have after school on Tuesday and having access to individual PD funds and maybe some institutional events, conferences, like the NISA Teachers Conference or the Aero special math workshops. And that's one definition of PD. And yeah, if you take that definition of PD and then you take away the money for the individual workshops, my annual allotments, and then if you have a Tuesday schedule that has activities in the afternoon when we would usually have those Tuesday meetings, then there's a disconnect and we can't think of PD in the same way anymore. So if we don't have the same format or availability of PD anymore, then we shouldn't be appraising our teachers the same way anymore about PD. And yeah, our rubrics for teacher appraisal have the main four professional responsibilities. It talks about participating in the professional community. It talks about showing professionalism. And maybe in the usual style, principal, vice principal, teacher evaluation meeting, you might sit down and talk about, oh, remember in that Tuesday PD session, how good I did. Oh, I went to this workshop this weekend and how good it was. Well, if we're not having those this school year in the same way, then we need to redefine what is a good PD experience this school year. So when you have those appraisal meetings, then you're all on the same page and you can celebrate what was done. It's like backwards design. It's like the same thing you do with your students. You need to actually have the rubric first. You need to have the goals first. You need to have the tests first. You need to have the standards first. And then If you have that in advance, then you can all work towards it. And that's where our conversation starting from this summer took us. So it was kind of an inquiry then. The inquiry was kind of, well, what is good PD? Looked at a lot of sources, but two of my favorite are up on the screen. This one article, it's actually linked on the slideshow. You can click it and go to it. But they said there are 4 pillars to effective online PD given our circumstances this school year. And they said professional learning is personalized. That means there's some degree of choice in it. Professional learning is job embedded. That means your choices have things specifically for the subject you teach. Both are ongoing and sustainable. And to me, this one means that it's connected to even our strategic goals, that it's not a one-off just for this one weekend and then it never connects to anything ever again, but rather it's really connected to our long-term strategic goals, sustainable. And it's tied to your evaluations, the appraisal system, which is what we talked about in the last slide. The other source I found really interesting is in the NISA curriculum group. I get to talk with other curriculum PD people. And at AISR in Riyadh, and you can see it on their website, it says right here, it says, developing student and teacher agency and self-directed learning is a key component of our annual professional learning plan. And teachers set goals and reflect upon their growth from the menu. And the way I understand it, they even have like Eagle badges and it's a badge system and everything. And I thought that's a good idea. So, I mean, it really jives and it's cohesive with everything I've said so far already, that you have to define what is good PD for the year. You have to support that with good options. And then when it comes to appraisal or evaluation, then that's what you look for. You can't appraise or evaluate people on something that they weren't given in advance or supported with. And I like the menu approach too. Okay, so solution building. So what is good PD for this school year? I drafted this over the summer and have been sharing with the principals all fall. And they've been thinking about it, letting it register, reflect, pretty much all fall. And so by the time that your principal and vice principal were talking to you, it wasn't brand new. And you've probably seen this big spreadsheet. And what it has are rows of different ideas of what would be good PD for anyone at AISJ this school year. Anyone at AISJ this school year, given our circumstances, it'd be nice to have some online webinar training. And maybe this is something that you even did over the summer already. Anyone at AISJ, it'd be nice to make sure you're part of a social media group. We call these professional learning networks. And that's like when you join a Facebook group about your subject area or a Twitter feed. Those are powerful. And actually, it's much more a 21st century model than the old school stuff of going to weekend workshops. And the list goes on and on. What I did is I then gave this list to the principal and vice principal, editable copy, and said, here are my base ideas for what is plausible and possible this school year, and what would fit the pillars, and what would, I think, be a good PD experience for a teacher this school year. And you see on this list, nowhere does it say, this school year, we think you should get on an airplane and fly to a workshop. Of course, because we can't. So again, the list was really curated to be practical, plausible, and hopefully helpful. Those 4 pillars. So your principal and your assistant principal, they may have added to the list. They may have edited it some. I really left it up to them because to me, it should be the division's vision for what good PD will be for this school year. And it could be different in high school, it could be different in middle school, and it could be different in elementary school because you got different issues and different things you need to work on. So that's your area, and you guys get to decide that, your principal and vice principal, and that's totally reasonable. And again, when I say what is your vision for PD? Yeah, it's backwards design, it's explaining what the bar is, setting it. But also it's just taking the bull by the horns and getting a handle on the whole conversation. It can be frustrating sometimes when we have these conversations. I kind of described PD this school year to your principals and assistant principals as, you know, at the auto car sales shops, they have the fan and it spins up through the cloth tube and it's a promotional display. And maybe they painted a face on the tube and then the guy's flailing, his arms are flailing. And in the beginning of the school year, there were so many ideas going on. Without our personal PD money, what are we gonna do? And it was kind of a flailing program. And maybe it wasn't even a program at all. And so this is a way to get a handle on the situation, to define and stop the flailing and say, well, as a middle school, this is what we think would be good PD for the school year. We're not expecting you to go do these things, but if you do these things on this list, that would be awesome of you for this school year. I think John and Leon have asked you to just fill it all in together. So that's kind of a macro approach as a division and gives them a good firm understanding of how you are doing as a school, getting involved in these things. And maybe when it's all filled in, then they can see, oh, well, the math teachers, they're doing a really good job in these areas, but maybe they could do some more of this. Oh, I see the science teachers have gotten involved a lot and grown a lot in these areas. Maybe they could do some more of that. And also just looking out and seeing what your peers are doing could be inspirational too. On this slideshow, and there's a link here too, it's the exact same information, but it's another way to look at it. And again, we wanted to articulate an organized vision of what good PD at AISJ is for this school year. That vision fairly and justly taking into account our constraints, both financially and our inability to travel. Okay. The next step, well, you got to follow through with it. And this page just would be the principal and the assistant principal's view where they could help keep track of how everyone is doing. Now, when I say keep track, I don't think that's really meant to be a mean way to communicate it. It's more be aware of how people are doing and so can provide further support if needed. Add clarity to what we could use support on instead of leaving it to guesswork. I think one of the biggest anxieties in schools, especially international schools, is anxiety created by not knowing. And when you don't know, you feel anxious. So sometimes it's good to give a clear vision or communicate a clear vision of, if you're thinking about PD, These are the things we'd like you to think about. To me, that's way less stressful than thinking I'm going to get evaluated on PD and I have no idea what to do. What are they going to say? Okay. Now, of course, all of our recommendations then need to be resourced. You can't ask people to do things that are impossible to do. And you'll see on that list, a lot of the stuff is in-house and they're meetings that we're already having or have had or will have. But there are some external things that it'd be a good idea to get involved with. For example, one of the tabs on that sheet has all of these online subscriptions that we have. And going with or coming with all of the online subscriptions that we have are often webinars, how to use it, PD on how to use it. And that's really good professional development. In some ways, that's even better than getting on an airplane and going to a workshop and then coming back and doesn't change anything. So we highly recommend make use of the resources that we're paying for. Get involved with them. Watch the videos and webinars that they provide. That's great development. Also, a tab on that sheet has a list of many free or very low cost PD opportunities. And in that row where it says, have you gone to a webinar at all? I think most of you might have done something already, even over the summer. But if you haven't, there's a lot of great options here that are cheap or free. And again, personalize it. Pick something relevant to yourself. If you don't find something here, email me. We can talk about it, or I'm here and we can talk about it, and hopefully we can find something relevant to your need. Now, really at the end, hopefully we can all celebrate that we've zoomed in to what we do every day. We've zoomed in and taken a look at some of the things we've seen online. We've zoomed in and checked out some of the things we've done here at school, remember on Sunday. And then we've zoomed out and looked at it as a whole big picture and said, you know what, 1920 or 2021, I'm sorry, 2021 was a productive school year. Yeah, I want to get my individual PD money. I'm looking forward to that next year, getting that back. But big picture, as I reflect on it, I really grew a lot. I really developed a lot, of course, with online learning delivery. But I also watched a whole lot of videos and webinars online, and that helped me develop as well. So I hope that's something we can celebrate. I love this quote. I read it, and I think you can click on the link and read the article too. It says, rather than delivering PD in periodic one-shot workshops, it should be an integral part of a teacher teamwork around strategies, goals, and analysis of student work. I think one of the lines talks about moderation, and that's team meetings looking at student works. That's great professional development too. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. So again, the purpose of all of this was really to acknowledge reality, to inquire and try and understand, well, given reality, what is good PD for the year? And then communicate that to reduce anxiety, offer support in the manner of giving resources and links for things you can check out, And then ideally at the end, celebrate and feel good about ourselves for the good job we've done. Now, of course, you always feel good about yourself and the good work you've done. You don't need people to say that. But as a professional organization, it is better to set a vision, communicate a vision, work on it, than flail and self-congratulate. If you have any questions about this, let me know, and I'd be happy to talk to you about it. If you have any questions about how middle school is approaching it by having y'all do it together instead of separate portfolio worksheets, you can ask John and Leon. But I like their approach. It's a nice idea because then you can look at it holistically as a school. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, see you around. Thank you.